Hello everyone. Today my lecture is titled Nationalism in India. So there have been many causes for the rise of nationalism in India, but to name a few, we can say it was the British colonization, unequal and unjust distribution of wealth and power, different ethnicities, language, culture, and religion, the question of identity, the question of national identity, identity politics, and ambitious ruler, and finally, of course, the British policy of divide and rule. They came to India, the British crown took over India when India was a one subcontinent, the Indian subcontinent, but when they left, they divided it into India and Pakistan. So the Muslim presence in India has been for many centuries, which I have discussed earlier in my lecture, from the 8th century to the 12th century and 16th to the 19th century. There were great Muslim rulers, for example, the Mughal Emperor Akbar and his policies of tolerance and acceptance of non Muslims, Hindus, and Rajputs, the emergence of the Urdu language, which was a combination of Arabic, Persian, and Hindi under the Mughal rulers, Akbar's policy of decentralization, the Mansabdari and the Jagir system, and the art and architecture of Emperor Shah Jahan still speaks of the Mughal glory and Mughal contribution to India. India witnessed rise of nationalism by different groups in different times. For example, in 1905, Bengal was partitioned by the British under their divide and rule policy. So the Bengalis of the United Bengal, they objected and they resisted against the partition. But eventually, the Bengalis of Eastern Bengal, they were benefited under the leadership of Sir Salimullah. There was a lot of development in Eastern Bengal. So there was another the rise of nationalism. We could say it was the rise of Muslim nationalism in India, and it was in 1919. And there is a background story of it. The Ottoman Empire was about to be dismembered after the First World War, when it was a part of Central Powers during the First World War, with Germany and Austria-Hungary. Ottoman Empire also joined them against the Allied powers. Britain, France, and at a later stage, the United States. So the Ottoman Empire, or the Central Powers, they lost, and it was decided by the Treaty of Serfs that the Ottoman Empire will be dismembered, and it will be broken into different states, and or different countries. So the big Ottoman Empire will not exist under the treaty. The Treaty of Serfs was not ratified, but later, under the Treaty of Lausanne, the Ottoman Empire was dismembered, and it just came to exist as a small country of Turkey. So Ottoman Empire was a very special place, had a very special place among the Muslims all over the world, in the Muslim Ummah, because the Ottoman Emperor were the protectors of the Muslim holy places, Mecca and Medina. So the Muslim world, or the Muslim Ummah, had a special regard for the Ottoman Sultan. So when the Ottoman Empire participated, or they got involved in World War One. The emperor Mehmed the Fifth, he was the last Ottoman emperor. He appealed to the Muslim Ummah globally that the Muslim empire or the Muslim world was under threat of attack by the non-believers, non-Muslims, and so the Muslims of all over the world should rise against the non-Muslim world. And so this message had an impact in the Muslims in India. And so Ali brothers took the initiative and launched the Khilafat movement, and their movement's aim was to save the Khilafat, save the Ottoman Empire from being dismembered or from being divided into several countries. Eventually, the Khilafat movement was not successful. It continued from 1919 to 1922, and in the meantime, Mahatma Gandhi also supported the Ali brothers' cause, and later on, Mahatma Gandhi's non cooperation movement started. So, the spirit of the Khilafat movement ended with the abolition of the caliphate by Kemal Ataturk, and the it was the abolition of the caliphate was took place under the Treaty of Lausanne in 1924. Gradually, Hindu Muslim identity were merging in the 1920s. So, with the Khilafat movement, we could see the rise of Indian nationalism. So, it was the Hindus and the Muslims' identity emerged as Indians against the British Empire. So, the administration was already structured with upper caste Hindu zamindars and poor Muslim peasants. So there was disparity under the British rule, and so there was also economic reason for the Indians' grievances against the British rule, and so several factors eventually led to the rise of nationalism in India. So as I said, that there was this rise of nationalism among the Bengalis of United Bengal in 1905 with the partition of Bengal. Then at the later stage, in 1919, the Khilafat movement took place, but the partition of Bengal was annulled in 1911, and after that Mahatma Gandhi, when he came to India from South Africa in 1915, so eventually there was again the emergence of Jinnah, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. So there was this friendly relation between the Congress and the Muslim League, Jinnah and Mahatma Gandhi, from 1911 to 1918, and the Khilafat movement comes in 1919. So we can see the Hindu-Muslim unity during that time. Then it was followed up by the non-cooperation movement. So in different phases, we could see the rise of Indian nationalism. So then again, there was Hindu-Muslim unity, the civil disobedience movement in 1930 to 1931. Hindu-Muslims nationalism became more effective. They had common grievances against the repressive policies of the British government against the Indians, and then there was the Roundtable Conference in London where Jinnah and Gandhi, they both attended the conference, but later we could see the Quit India movement launched by Mahatma Gandhi in 1942, where he asked the British to quit the Congress, and Mahatma Gandhi was not happy with the British government's decision of entering into the Second World War without getting approval from the Congress. Different for different reason, India witnessed the rise of nationalism. There was a period when there was this Hindu-Muslim unity, but gradually it deteriorated, mostly because of the ambition of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and later Nehru, who wanted a united India, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he wanted under the two nation policy, he wanted the division of India, and he demanded Pakistan for the Muslims. So he used religion for his own personal goal, because India and Pakistan was partitioned on the basis of religion. Jinnah wanted Pakistan for the Muslims, but now historically, when we look back, it was mostly, we can say that it was a political goal, or it was for his political benefit. Jinnah used the religion for the division of India. Mahatma Gandhi wanted a united India too. So it was all politics. Here we see the identity politics emerged, and that's how there was this Jinnah's one opinion, Nehru's another opinion, and then Mahatma Gandhi wanted to have one united India. So, as I said, for identity politics, the Muslim League under Jinnah, they had their own demands, whereas the Congress under Mahatma Gandhi and Nehru, they had their different vision of a united India. So, Muslim League suffered severe blow in the election of 1937. Muhammad Ali Jinnah started exploiting Muslim sentiment on Muslim identity. He spoke of the two nation theory. Then in 1945 to 1946, Muslim League's election result was better. So finally, the Indian subcontinent ended up in a partition, and Nehru demanded transfer of power from the British government. So there were some disagreements between Gandhi and the Muslim leaders. Conflict between Nehru and Jinnah was another important factor for the partition of India. They both were ambitious leaders. Jinnah opposed Lord Mountbatten's plan and declared a direct action day on 16th August 1946 that led to the bloodshed in Calcutta between Hindu and Muslims. So, in order to get the partition or the independence of Pakistan, Jinnah applied force, and that was the direct action day, where it led to riot and bloodshed between the Hindus and Muslims in Calcutta. So finally, India was partitioned in 1947. There was disagreement between the Indian Congress Party, which was founded in 1885, and it was led by Jawaharlal Nehru during the time of partition in 1947, and Muslim League was founded in 1906, and it was led by Muhammad Ali Jinnah during the partition time. So Lord Mountbatten was forced to partition India between the Hindus and Muslims. Thus, when the British entered India, it was a united India. When they left it, it was a divided India. Even after the partition of India, the there are many issues between India and Pakistan. The Kashmir question is still unresolved. There was a war between India and Pakistan in 1965, then the Bangladesh Liberation War, or the Bangladesh War of Independence, the emergence of Bangladesh in 1971, when India was an ally of Bangladesh, of the then East Pakistan, and supported Bangladesh in its liberation war in 1971. The partition mm, took place in 1947 on the ground of religion, that the it would be a Muslim country, and the Muslims will remain marginalized in India, and that was Muhammad Ali Jinnah's rhetoric. But eventually, the East and West Pakistan could not stay united, because West Pakistan was applied its authoritarian rule over the East Pakistanis, which is the present day Bangladesh. Pakistan was mainly under the military rule, Ayub Khan and Yahya Khan, and in 1956, the Constitution of Pakistan, an Islamic Republic under the government of Allah, was dissolved, and basic democracy under the military regime was installed. East and West Pakistanis, different ethnicities, um, also made a difference, and though they had the same religion, but the West Pakistanis were discriminative towards the people of East Pakistan. It was their government who denied equal rights to the East Pakistanis, which is the present day Bangladesh. In 1952, there was the language movement of the Bengalis of East Pakistan, and that was the first sign of Bengali or Bengali nationalism. West Pakistan declared that Urdu will be the only official language of Pakistan, and that's where the language movement in East Pakistan took place, and they objected and they resisted against the imposition of Urdu over the people of East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. Awami League's 6 point um, uh, called for greater autonomy for East Pakistan. So under Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's leadership, Awami League in East Pakistan, they demanded 6 points for greater autonomy for East Pakistan, which was denied and ignored by the West Pakistanis. Finally, in the general election in 1970, Awami League won 160 seats, and Pakistan's People's Party got 80 seats. So, election results were denied by West Pakistan, and the West Pakistani military troops committed genocide in Bangladesh, or against the people of Bangladesh from 26th March to 16th December 1971. Finally, the Bangladesh won its independence, and the Bangladesh War of Independence took place from 26th March to 16th December 1971, and Bangladesh Victory Day is 16th December 1971.